When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind that speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.
Hey, welcome back to Call the Damn Leads, the show by sales professionals for sales professionals. I'm your host, Drewbie Wilson. With more than 2 decades in sales, I've seen it, been through it, heard about it, and now I'm bringing it to you, my favorite people in the world, the sales community. Because let's be honest, this is the greatest job on earth. It doesn't matter where you come from, what background, what personality type, you can create an amazing life in sales. Today's guest is no stranger to the journey. It's my man, John Money McKinley. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me on, Drew. It's an honor being on your show, and I've fallen in love with your YouTube channel as well, and some of those sales motivational songs that you have, especially the metal one. Got to have the metal ones, Drew.
Hey, well, I appreciate that, man. And I want to jump right into things. I want to hear your crazy sales story.
All righty. I got a good one for you and your audience, Drew. I have been, just to let everybody know, I have been in the wonderful world of mortgages since 1999. Back in the ancient days when we wrote stuff on paper and you had to come to our office. Well, I'm sure a lot of you remember, or some of you remember, we had a little what we called the Great Mortgage Meltdown of 2007/8. The whole world changed and subprime was no more. A lot of people in the mortgage world, myself included, had to find a new way of doing business. And brokers really started transitioning to doing FHA loans. Okay. And I had a client, this client of mine, she was needing a loan, and it would normally be somebody that would qualify more for a subprime loan, but those were gone. So he took her FHA. And FHA loans, especially back in those days, the underwriters wanted letters of explanation. So I explained to the client, look, we're going to need some letters of explanation about your income, and you had some challenges that happened in your past. You want to make it a very nice letter to the underwriter, just a short, sweet letter to the underwriter explaining your circumstances so she feels kind of almost sorry for you and wants to give you this loan. Okay. Well, a couple of days later, she came back and gave the letter and goes, here it is. And it's about a 2.5, 3-page letter. I went, oh, okay. I said, well, thank you very much. I'll go ahead and review this, and I'll get this over to processing, and we'll get it over to the underwriter. Well, I said, I got to read this letter. And she's going through her story and the time she was living in her home that you could hear all the wind blowing through. And her husband came home in a fit of rage one day. And I'm not trying to make fun of domestic violence, but was shooting holes through the wall and everything. So she had to pack up and move her children away. And income was a little bit tight. She learned to fish. She learned to can fish and can vegetables. And for a period of time, she turned to prostitution to support her family.
She went all in on that letter, huh?
She went, I mean, I was like, whoa. So it was, and if you looked at this woman, when I met her, you looked at her and went, I'm not seeing the prostitution part here.
Listen, that is a whole line of work. It has existed since the dawn of time. It is one of those things that I've always seen as interesting, how we will find a way. As humans, we will always find a way to survive. And sometimes some of the things that we have to do are not always the most morally or ethically above the board. And sometimes they, can leave us with a lot of internal trauma that we deal with later. However, there's something to be said about someone's willingness to say, hey, here's everything you need to know about me. You can trust that I'm going to do whatever it takes to pay this loan off, even if it means doing some things that I don't want to do. So, like, did underwriting give her the loan or what? Were they into it? Did it
Well,
work?
well, yeah. Needless to say, I was in complete shock that you would write that in a letter and admit it, and because she looked like the school teacher. I'm just saying, she looked like the school teacher. But yes, I told her, I went back to her and said, look, we're gonna have to do a little bit of fine tuning to this letter here. Can we? And I sat down with her and we worked on it together and put a much better presentation across the underwriter's desk. I did not want to put that letter to the underwriter or the processor.
I don't know if we can accept these terms. This is not a legal form of income. Therefore, we're going to deny this loan because underwriting sucks. I can say that because I don't work with underwriting mostly, so I can hate on you guys. You guys are the worst. If you want to know how bad you are, go join my public Facebook group. I post memes about you in there, I don't know, 3 to 4 times a week at least. That said, I do respect you. You have a job to do. It is what it is. But
Drew, I'll have you know, my underwriters are the best. They are loving and caring, and they actually do want to make loans close, as long as we're talking legally, of course.
Well, so before we get too far off into a rabbit hole on a tangent here, John, because I know that's probably just one of many wild stories that you have from the mortgage world, I would be interested to know, like, what drove you to mortgages? Why go down that path in old 1999 to begin with?
Well, it's another interesting story. In a former life, I was married. I know, that's crazy. And I got involved in I stayed involved in a business longer than I should have. And I can say this about my ex. This was the one good advice she actually gave me. During the time I was involved in that business, and the business was in credit repair, and we were struggling and things were tight, I had another person in the mortgage industry, and this was in the late 1990s, told me, hey, John, have you ever thought about mortgages? I'm like, well, I used to work for a real estate investor. I have a construction background. I came from construction. And I used to be an electrician. And to this day, I still have the hair. So you've got when I was in construction, Drew, you had to have the hair.
Oh, yeah. It's just as part of the uniform.
Exactly. And well, they told me to try mortgages. And I said, well, I don't know a lot about it. And the guy said, I'll teach you. I'll help you. You just go find the clients. We'll work together. And I remember when I was put it together, and the guy did a good job of helping me getting everything structured and put together. And shortly after it closed, because that's when brokers would close a loan and you get paid a few days later, I got a check FedExed over to me. I was like, huh. And that's when my ex looked at me and she goes, you're pretty good at this and you picked up on this stuff quickly. Look at this check you're making here and you're struggling in this other stupid business. What are you doing? You make a good point. And that's what drove me into the mortgage world. So I can openly thank my ex for pushing me into the mortgage world.
Sometimes we have to go through certain relationships and have certain scenarios go down so that we can truly find our calling and reason on this planet. And I know in my life there's been several different opportunities that at the time I thought, hey, this is everything. This is like 100% going to be, the end all be all. And things change and you shift and pivot and you learn and grow. And one of the things that I've always found interesting about sales is that it is 100% connected to your ability to get organized, to build a relationship, and to maintain that consistency over time. So because you've been in the game for such a long time, I would be interested to understand or get some of your perspective on the shifts between, as you said, the old days when it was like, hey man, pen, paper, come to the office, sign the documents, into I mean, the setup that you have now is pretty cool. And I know we can't give them the full feature on this whole podcast episode, but I would be interested if you can kind of share how that has progressed from the old days to what you're doing now to really facilitate those sales to be as cool as it is.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, and this will go back to my opening story with the client. Okay, today we've really shifted, and you know this, Drew. We're in a digital world.
Amen.
People are stuck inside, staring into their screens mindlessly at a lot of times, and I hear this all the time. You call up a mortgage company if you can get the guy on the phone. Yeah, go to www.mortgagecompany.com and fill out my app. Well, there's not a lot of customer interaction. Most communication is done email and online, which is fine. We need to have the efficiency. But take, for example, my opening story about that lady. Imagine if that stuff had all been done digitally through email with no connection and no actually taking the time to meet that woman and sit down and get her whole story. And yeah, it's kind of humorous and funny to say that. However, I helped that lady out. She needed to get a home and was able to get her through that, save her the trouble of an underwriter having to see that letter of explanation and get it put together in a way that we were able to make the loan work. And just so everybody knows, us loan officers, if you go to default on a loan, they let us know real quick because they come back after us too, the loan officer. So please make your payments. I don't care who your loan officer is. Don't miss the payments because they coming back after him too.
Hey, well, and that's the thing when you're in a position like that where you're really trying to do your best to work with the right clients, because not all money is good money and not all business is good business. So one of the things that we often have to work with clients on as we, go through this process, especially new sales guys or sales professionals that are going through a bit of a slump and they're kind of getting that commission breath and they're kind of like, whatever, whenever, I'll take it, is being able to determine, is this person a good fit for our product or service? And are they a good fit for me? Is that something that you've experienced over the years in the mortgage world?
Yes, I have. And look, you have to have some discernment about who you're going to work with. I've gotten really good over the years of spotting people, and I know this may sound crazy, Drew, but people want you to commit fraud. I know, that's crazy.
What?
Yes. And I know, just in case people are only listening to this, I'm a skinny white guy with long hair. Me and federal prison ain't going to get along very well.
It'd be like that Office Space scene where he's like, hey, man, what do you do if you've been to prison, right? And he's like, beat someone up on the first day. And they're just looking at each other. I don't see that happening, John. So
yeah, no, I can handle my own out in the civilized world, sir. But not. I don't want to. I don't want to go in there and test myself, sir. But the point is you have to be able to have the discernment to know to work with the people, one, who are not trying to flat out commit fraud. Two, also work with the people who are not going to drain the life out of you. And they will suck the life out of you. And it gets to the point where you're going, did I make money on this? Or did I actually spend money on this transaction? You don't have to say yes to every client. You don't have to say yes to every client. I know that sounds crazy from a salesperson, but if you say yes to everyone, you're not going to be happy with where you're going in life.
Amen to that. And I think that's where there's a correlation to knowing your numbers and understanding your business, because there are some deals where you're okay breaking even, or, I'm not saying you want to take a loss on a deal, but I can say I've taken losses on some deals knowing that it was going to lead to future different deals. But knowing your numbers and understanding, hey, out of all of these clients, what was the overall revenue? What's our average per client revenue? What, how much work and effort went into this deal to generate that much revenue? Because if you're not paying attention to those things, you're not looking at the P&Ls and looking at the numbers, you could be spending 80% of your time working on the stuff that generates 20% of the revenue in your business. And so, John, because you come from the world of numbers and looking at this on a day-to-day basis, what were some of the things that you realized early on in your sales career that you needed to pay more attention to so that you could be effective as a loan officer and working with these clients?
You want to become an expert in certain loan programs. There's a lot of loan programs. I'm very good at a lot of them, but I'm not going to offer every loan program. Why? Because it's not something that I enjoy doing. It's not something that's in my field house. Like renovation loans, for example, whether it's for investor or owner occupied. I love those because I understand those. I went from construction background, went straight into real estate, working for a real estate investor, which, oh, by the way, to this day, he's also a real estate broker, sends me clients for mortgages because he goes, John is the guy to go to if you want to get a loan done. Nice. And yeah, all these years later, and I met with him in 1994, I think, is when I first was introduced to him. And he still says the same thing to this day. Get a haircut, hippie.
Well, and that's one of the things that goes back to build a quality brand and business as a sales professional. It comes back to relationships. And it comes back to how you take care of people, how you show up, the service that you provide. And as you mentioned, being an expert at just a couple of things, right? You don't have to know about everything. You just need to be really, really good at one or two things that people can know you for. And John, you got John Money McKinley. People know you as the money man. You've built this brand and this reputation around it. And along the way, the thing that I really appreciate about how you do this is that you've continued to maintain the personal touch, right? You've built this process where it's about, hey, I'm going to involve you in all of this. I'm going to make sure that you truly still feel connected and engaged, because there's so many people that, objectively, we're hiding behind the screens. We're not having that interaction anymore. And so you're merging those two worlds together in a way that I think is very, very cool.
Yeah. And what I did was, this happened a couple years ago, is I saw the world changing. And look, we all know after the pandemic, whatever you prefer to call it, a lot of stuff changed, and it pushed people more apart from each other and more into the digital world. And I said, I started in this business meeting people face to face, and you got to understand where people were coming from. They're more comfortable telling you their story because people are buying homes. That's one of the biggest investments people make. They're buying a place to lay their head down at night and call their castle and have a good place for their family. You really need to have an understanding. Yes, the numbers are important, not arguing that, but you really need to have an understanding of what are these folks trying to accomplish so you don't put them in a bad position. And with that said, I created my system that I call the Human Touch Mortgage Solution System, where I'm able to bring people into my office virtually and give them the same experience as they used to get sitting down at my office with me. And sitting down, we go over everything. I literally will have behind me their mortgage pulled up. Nobody's stuck in a little cube like you do in a Zoom screen share nonsense. I tell people, it's like going for a mortgage, except I'm like the weatherman. I'm right there. You're right there above me. We're working on things. We're going over. You tell me what numbers you want to see adjusted so you can know exactly what's happening during the process. And during the time of doing this, I'm recording the entire meeting, and I send them a copy of the meeting with the transcripts, not because they want to go back and rewatch the whole meeting, They want to be able to go back and grab the key points so they can show them. I've met with clients where we just couldn't get the husband and wife together at the same time. And they both said, hey, wait a minute. Hey, my husband, he can be there. I can't, but you're recording it. He'll take me to the highlights and the points I need to see. People love that. It has changed my business. It is completely changed my business. And if people go to my johnmckinley.net, they can see a short video that I put together, and you'll actually hear from some of my clients in there talking about the experience with it.
And that's the thing that's really, what I foresee being the separator of great sales professionals going forward with the digital era. Because we have to learn to adapt. We have to understand how to bring this technology into the world, how to utilize it, and also while maintaining that element of human touch, like you mentioned. And that's great branding, by the way. Kudos. I love that. Because that's what people are going to come back to. They're going to crave that connection. They've gone through these different seasons and phases where we couldn't be around each other, so we all wanted to be next to each other, and then everybody started hiding behind their screens, and now we're starting to see where it's like people want to get together. They want to be – there's a tribe element to what we're doing here. So, John, man, we could nerd out on this forever, but I just want to say thank you again for taking some time to be here with us today, man. What a pleasure.
No, Drewbie, it is a pleasure being on here, and I want to thank you very much. I've learned so much with you, and just give a full confession. I found out about Drewbie because he kept seeing stuff in my Facebook, and I kept seeing other stuff, and I was like, I got to see what this guy is about, and then I got a couple of his books, and then I said, I got to find out more about what he's doing, and you are doing some incredible things, Drewbie, with what you're doing with the group and the Call the Damn Leads group, and I'm having a great time. I'm learning a lot about myself and really learning to dive deeper in and really get a better idea of what my clients really want so I can offer the service they need and what they want in an experience for buying a home with a mortgage.
I absolutely love it, man. And keep up the great work. Listen, if you guys enjoyed the show, if you got something valuable from it, go share it on social media, tag me, tag John, let the world know you spent some time, you got something in return, and it was worth it. Maybe you know somebody who sucks at sales and they need a good reminder on how to up their game a little bit. You don't have to tell them they suck, but you can send them this episode and you can say, hey, I was listening, I thought of you, I think you're going to get some value out of it. Because that's what this is all about. Spreading the message, helping people understand that sales is the greatest job on earth. And by sharing our stories and helping each other out, we can create an amazing atmosphere for everyone. So if you've got a story, I want to have you on the show. I want you to be an amazing guest like my friend John. Head over to callthedamnleads.com/podcast. Send us all your details. Get signed up. While you're there, grab a hat, t-shirt, keychain, something to support the show. You know what to do. Go call the damn leads. We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you.
When the doubt gets loud, but answer that call. Vision ain't real till you grind that speed, so breathing deep. Then call the damn leads. Call the damn leads.